Namaskara and welcome to the South Indian. My name is Sudha Sadanan, and as always I shall bring to you 9 top stories from the south of India. Our first story is coming up on your screens right now, and a very important one. Bengaluru chokes post Diwali as PM 2.5 levels rise and air quality worsens in several places. That's our main story. Bengaluru chokes post Diwali. There are many Indian cities which are regularly in the focus for all the wrong reasons in the recent past. Terrible flooding post rains, killer potholes and pathetic infrastructure. Delhi NCR, of course, comes right on top, and it's now a gas chamber, let me tell you, which doesn't seem to have a solution in the near future. However, when one witnesses the descent of a city like Bengaluru, once called a garden city and a haven and a paradise amongst a lot of people, particularly those who sought retirement, and king among metros, it becomes a huge concern when Bengaluru also starts ticking all the wrong boxes. We've done several stories on how this Indian Silicon Valley's killer potholes has swallowed many lives, how every rain the roads disappear, how the water gets into homes. But today we shall speak about how Bengaluru's air quality plummeted this Deepavali, and the effects of which are felt even a week post the festival. Yes, Deepavali is over, but the fact is the aftermath lingers on in the air for weeks and weeks and weeks. Now, the culprit for this terrible AQI was, of course, firecrackers, and this despite regulations from the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board, which is KSP-CB, that only green crackers should be burst. But then who was listening? The Times of India reported how various areas in the city manifested extremely high AQI readings thanks to the bursting of firecrackers, propelling daily average PM 2.5 levels past 100 microns per cubic meter. By the way, the threshold for poor air quality in over 90% of the monitored areas according to the KSPCB official. He said this, that the sharp rise in PM 2.5 particle concentrations is of particular concern, as these particles can penetrate deep into the lungs, exacerbating respiratory issues. Shant A. Timaya, chairperson of KSBCB, said, post-COVID-19 pandemic, this is the first time that pollution is so high during Deepavali. And then, of course, it was the unrelenting traffic, people coming and going, people from outside Bengaluru coming into the city, people from Bengaluru leaving the city for their holidays during Deepavali, which added to the overall problem. And what is worse is that despite green crackers, which gives one some kind of a mental respite, when you think green crackers, you think not going to be so bad. We think that we'll don't have to really breathe noxious fumes. Bengaluru is still battling the aftermath. Let me go across to a guest to understand what is the reason. Of course, it's green crackers, he may say, but then going forward, what is the way out? Professor H. Paramesh, environmentalist and pulmonologist from the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Professor, it is such an honor to have you on air, sir. We concentrate a lot on Bengaluru as a city, because I just described that was a city which was called a king amongst all the metros. I mean, neighboring city of Chennai, they used to envy Bengaluru and say, what great weather you people have. There is less pollution, traffic is all, proper. I mean, everything seems to be picture perfect. But look at this. Even now, and I have relatives in Bengaluru, they are saying they can still feel the aftermath of green crackers. Professor, how safe are these green crackers, sir?
I think you already showed some slide earlier. I think that shows it produces less sound and less pollution, almost 30% less. That's what has been recommended, green crackers. Earlier, we used to, the original ones, that used to produce a lot of things. Sulfur dioxide, the major component, it used to be 200 times more than the recommended of WHO. That is a water-soluble chemical used to dissolve very, very fast and enter the lung very fast. I think 2.5 micron, you are commenting about it, 2.5 micron, less than that one, they not only produces lung problems like allergic rhinitis, asthma, bronchitis, COPD, increased breathing problem, and less than 2.5 micron travels the bloodstream and it produces the impact on the womb to tomb. And in addition to that, non-pulmonary disease also will come there. Cardiovascular disease, blood pressure, diabetes, and all these things. And central nervous system also get affected. Autism.
Professor, I work in Noida. I'm sorry to be interrupting you. Today in office, there is so much pollution here and Diwali added to it that a lot of us are having headaches, sir. Watery eyes, headache, and a kind of disorientation. I don't want to sound alarmist. But do you think these are all impact of pollution plus post-Diwali kind of, these firecrackers? Because no rules are followed in the capital where the Prime Minister lives, sir, or here in Uttar Pradesh.
I think what you have been doing in the room, while you're closed and all this thing, the room air has to be changed 6 times per hour. If they don't change that one, you have sick building syndrome. Working in that one 6 hours continuously, you get depressed and whole lot of things. Watering of the eyes, whole lot of it's a sick building syndrome related air not being cleared 6 times per hour. Total volume has to be changed.
Okay. Now, Professor Paramesh, I've been reading about green crackers. They say that, look, it is less harmful like you explained. But then in a Bengaluru's case, please explain that traffic pollution plus green crackers. What a lethal combination that must be, Professor Paramesh.
It is definitely a lethal combination. And also, if you look at earlier also, last year, the pollution and this year is the 19% less. And also within 24 hours, the pollution level, which was 6 times more at Diwali time, within 24 hours, it's come back to safer and permissible levels.
Right.
And 2.5 micron is the one we are very much worried about it. Yes, and less than that one too.
Okay. So let's now come to the other experts are also saying that it is not as lethal, these green crackers, but it is not a safe replacement. Can you describe that for the viewers, why it is not a safe replacement, Professor Paramesh?
Well, it definitely contributes to the sound pollution, global warming, climate change, carbon footprint will be very high. There's no question about it.
Right.
But there is a emotional feeling, happiness of the children. This has been come thousands of years. As a ritual, we have been practicing it. I think knowing this one also not affect this one, the Supreme Court has given only 2 hours to use these kind of crackers. 2 hours time given between 8 to 10. I think if you do that, we have to care for the mental health also, physical, emotion, feelings, along with the physical experience. Physical disease will be there. And also, I think we had done a study earlier in Bangalore. During Diwali time, there is 100% increase in the earlier to the emergency department for the wheezing and all this thing. Those people, we educated them and we make them, people are using much less. Even I used to use a lot of things, my children. Now this year, we never busted any crackers.
Okay,
in the whole state of time.
Yeah. Professor
It has come
Paramesh,
down significantly.
Right. It has come down because green crackers are a safer option, not totally safe. That's what
It's not
experts
totally
say.
safe.
Please also explain for the benefit of the viewers, how do they hang in the air particles? I mean, what happens?
Ask me again, how
do they hang? I mean, how do they stay in the air? For how long? I mean, the thing is that obviously I'm breathing in that air. Now, earlier times when I was a child, whole lot of, what we call in Tamil patas, we would burst it. And
yes, I think what had happened, the small particle, they stay in the air for a longer time. And bigger particle, more than 10 micron, within 1 minute or so, it will come down to the ground. And also this smoke can travel all over the globe it takes 11 days.
Right. Okay.
All over the globe, it's come around.
Yes.
And also, depending on the air velocity, I think if it is going the eastern way, western way, it goes to the Pakistani air pollution. Don't have any borders.
You know, you talk about Pakistan. In Lahore, there is immense pollution. They are blaming us for it. Let me take a break now. Professor Paramesh, I'm in conversation with Professor Paramesh, who's an eminent environmentalist and pulmonologist from the Indian Institute of Science. I'm taking a break right now, but when we come back, what is the way out for Bengaluru not to choke next Deepavali?
The most admired cricket icon and former Team India head coach Rahul Dravid is in the headlines these days. But from the cricket ground, he's now been spotted facing the camera. What is the special thing that Mr. Dependable is now working on? Is Dravid working on his biopic? Or is it a new book or autobiography that he's planning? Is it an ad film or a new tournament that he's preparing for? What could be his next adventure? We are trying to find out. What's your guess?
Why is the state not looking at putting an embargo on that?
As a Telangana person, I will not accept.
How do ordinary folks deal with this?
Have an opportunity in this election to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump.
You say Harris, nobody knows who the heck we're talking about, right?
Democracy's biggest stage.
What are the key issues dominating the U.S. presidential polls? I'm Hamza Kambazai, coming to you with all the updates from Washington, D.C.
Take a look at what happened.
A grand presidential contest.
I'm Ujwal and I shall get you minute-by-minute updates on the shifting voters' mood in the US presidential elections.
News 9 captures the moment.
We'll tell you how the verdict will impact you and the global economy.
Washington, D.C., New York, Texas, Atlanta, Detroit. Ground reports and analysis.
For live updates, please stay tuned to News 9.
Stay live with News 9.
Welcome back. That's the topic that we are discussing. Bengaluru chokes post Deepavali. What is the way out? How do we see to it that we also celebrate a festival like the Festival of Lights, that is Deepavali, enjoy it to the fullest because it's part of our culture, but then we don't have to be in hospitals or breathe noxious fumes. Professor H. Paramesh, environmentalist and pulmonologist of Indian Institute of Science, is with us. Professor Paramesh, I want to ask you something, sir. You said that there are some sentiments, the mental peace of little children who enjoy firecrackers, fireworks. I accept it. How come it is done in North America, sir? In America, everyone is celebrating Deepavali. Some states allow you to, say, okay, you can use firecrackers. They have a designated space. They all go, like Washington, D.C., they have a place where they all go and they burst crackers. I'm sure, Professor, you've also seen it. How come it's so less, impactful there? Are they using some other firecrackers? Are these Chinese firecrackers, Mexican firecrackers? I have no idea. But they are all doing rockets and everything they are doing. What is the way out? Maybe because if we spend a little more money, and even if it is expensive, and we can save the trouble, because you come to Noida and Delhi, sir, a lot of people are in hospitals, sir. Yes. Even in Bengaluru, there are a lot of people, poor people, who are not able to breathe. Because if you live in a congested place, plus there is vehicular pollution, it's a double whammy. So, Professor, what is it that they are using which we can use perhaps?
I think they are using the same thing. There are various chemicals are there contributing different colors. And also I think what we have been using, use the potassium nitrate, that is safer. Earlier we used to use the barium nitrate. So those are all various color will be there. I think I may not able to give you details about that, what they've been using and all the other countries. I think one place doing that, we used to go and watch. I was in States for 11 years.
Huh.
I used to go and visit it. And also most of the sports arenas, they burst, when they win everything, burst of the crackers, flower pots and all these things. And in Bangalore, we have a golf club, we'll celebrate Diwali festival. All the members will come one day. We in open space, we will burst the crackers. I think these are all the things we have to educate the society in this context. So being one of the member of the Pollution Control Board Karnataka earlier, chairman of the Technical Advisory Committee, we went to the various schools, discussed with them. Significantly, it has come down. But still, pursue it, and like shaving every day, we have to educate the children and the parents.
Yes. But it's not just the children, sir. Professor Paramesh, these are adults, youth, who
the elderly people.
Yeah, they are the one, youth.
Yes.
They are enjoying it and they burst crackers. Don't you think the police also has a huge responsibility? Because if there is excess of bursting of firecrackers, then what are the authorities doing? It happened in Noida, Delhi, it happened in Bengaluru, lot of localities. I mean, if we can put up that map, which all areas were heavily polluted, you will see most of those areas, apparently young people came out. Look at that graphic I'm playing on the screen right now. Look at those areas, sir.
Yes.
So I'm asking you that what are authorities doing then? Because if the Supreme Court can come down and say no crackers except green crackers during a stipulated time, then the police is just being a being just an onlooker.
The rules are there, but implementation is a problem. There is no question about it. No doubt, educating the society is the most important. We have to educate in this context. I think people who have been authorized to restrict this one, they have to be strong enough to communicate and arrest the people who are doing things which are not allowed. And also in Bangalore, we had 68 eye burns and all this thing, skin burn. One death has happened because bursting of the tin, he was sitting there and burst and he died. So I think these are all the issues. Air pollution from other sources also, automobile industry. This is slow traffic contribute nearly 6 times more pollutants.
My God.
That is contributing.
Yes.
And we need, every human being, we need about 10 square meter of area. Now it has come down, Bangalore so rapidly, we have done only 2.2 square meter per person.
Hebbal seems to be particularly bad in Bengaluru, people who live there.
The crowd is too much. And number of people, because the number of cars are more.
Right.
There are 6 times more pollution.
True.
Slow traffic from 70 to 10 kilometer. It's 6 times more. Now we got only 5 kilometers.
Professor Paramesh, Delhi gets cold. There is a nip in the air in November. I mean, it's come down over the years because of global warming, but it used to be really cold. Tell me something. Does it make it worse when the weather is cold? I mean, this kind of, cracker pollution. Does it become worse in winters rather than in, let us say, humid weather or warm weather, Professor Paramesh?
I think weather does make a difference, and wind velocity is one of the factors has to be taken into consideration. And especially in cold weather, atmospheric pressure is a little down, and the smoke, the concentration of smoke is much higher, as a matter of fact.
All right.
So it will be much higher.
All right.
And also wind velocity is not there. Probably weeks together, Delhi people going to be the gas chamber.
I mean, I know, but just pray for us. And on that note, Professor H. Paramesh, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. And I hope people are listening. Bengaluru, you need to get back to the beautiful city that you once were, rather than being called a city which has now even bad air thanks to firecrackers. Celebrate Deepavali, but celebrate with care. The next story which is coming up is Pawan Kalyan, Deputy Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, raps Andhra Pradesh Home Minister Anitha on the deteriorating law and order situation, warns, don't force me to take over as Home Minister.
The next Indian icons, beating everyone on the globe, B6E and XEV9E. Mahindra's electric origin SUVs. Catch them at Unlimit India.
how do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
Indian Americans are redefining success in every field. However, Indian Americans haven't historically been a political force in US elections. But the 2024 race could mark a turning point for one of the fastest growing immigrant groups in the country. Ever since Kamala Harris, the daughter of an Indian mother, unexpectedly rose to become the 2024 Democratic nominee, Indian American communities say they've seen a groundswell of support and energy for this election. Elections are won on the margin, and Indian Americans can be that margin of victory. This is the Indian American vote.
Why is the state not looking at putting an embargo on that?
As a Telangana person, I will not accept.
How do ordinary folks deal with this? All right, welcome back. You're watching the South Indian on News 9. That's our second story. Pawan Kalyan raps Home Minister. The alliance between the Telugu Desam Party and Janasena as a political force are a crucial factor in the NDA alliance. Let's not forget, the two party chiefs, Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan, are credited with changing the direction of the electoral wind in Andhra Pradesh. They managed to eject Jagan Mohan Reddy with a strategy which had the right mix of change and a promise of a corruption-free regime. The alliance's first so-called political masterstroke, if we can call that, was the escalation of the so-called impurities found in the Tirupati Laddu Prasadam, which hurt the sentiments of lakhs of devotees. Since then, Pawan Kalyan has become a flag bearer of Sanatana Dharam, undertaking penance and many yatras to assert his Hinduness. But then, coalitions are difficult to meander and the dharma often impossible to fulfill. The example of which was when Deputy Chief Minister and Janasena Party President Pawan Kalyan criticized State's Home Minister Anitha Bangalapudi over the rise in crimes against women in the state. Pawan's comments and even warned the TDP leader to not force him to take over the Home Ministry. Listen in.
Home Minister Anitha garu kuda chepta unnanu. Meeru మంత్రి, మీరు హోమ్ మినిస్టర్, నేను పంచాయతీ రాజ్ శాఖ మంత్రిని, నేను అటవీ శాఖ మంత్రిని, పర్యావరణ శాఖ మంత్రిని, హోం మంత్రి శాఖ మీరు బాధ్యత వహించండి. నేను హోంశాఖ తీసుకున్న పరిస్థితులు వేరుగా ఉంటాయి, గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. డీజీపీ గారు కూడా మీరు ఛార్జ్ తీసుకున్నారు. ప్రజలు మమ్మల్ని తిడుతున్నారు బయటకు వస్తే. ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ అధికారులు కూడా చెప్తున్నాను, మమ్మల్ని తిడుతున్నారు. మేము మీకు వెరీ క్లియర్ కట్ ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్ ఇచ్చాం. ఆడబిడ్డల మాన ప్రాణ సంరక్షణలకి మీరు బాధ్యత తీసుకోవాలని, గత ప్రభుత్వంలో ఉండకూడదని చెప్పాం.
You heard the power star, now Deputy Chief Minister Pawan Kalyan, loud and clear, warning the Home Minister to be more active, proactive rather, and saying that if a situation arises for him to take over as Home Minister, things may be drastically different. This is probably the first time that Pawan Kalyan has so openly criticized a minister belonging to the TDP, and there can be two reasons or perhaps many reasons. Either the alliance is trying to balance out a blot on its tenure, or plain and simple, Kalyan is asserting his position. Does he really want to be the Home Minister? Let's debate. Satyanarayana Bolisetti, who is the General Secretary of JSP, has joined us, and K.S. Prasad, Senior Political Analyst, is also with us. Mr. Prasad, good evening to you. I want to ask you that I was just listening to his speech. Of course, he's a great orator. He's trained to be one. But what does he want to say? Does he want to be the Home Minister? Does he want to balance it out? Because both Tirupati and Kadapa have been awful crimes against women. there was also one case of a tribal woman. You know, I remember Naidu promising that no tribal woman would ever have to be carried in a dolly, you know, in a kind of a makeshift thing for her medical procedures. But yet again, it happened. Some things you perhaps can't help. But what is Mr. Pawan Kalyan trying to do, Mr. Prasad?
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening to the viewers and good evening to the co-panelists. Ma'am, as far as Pawan Kalyan becoming a deputy CM, it's a honorary post as far as deputy is the word which was added. Other than that, he's nothing but a cabinet minister. And he passed a remarkable comments on a colleague, happened to be another cabinet minister. She is also a Dalit home minister. And surprisingly, he is addressing the entire public, stating very clearly, if I've been in the shoes of home minister, things would have been something else. The helpless situation of a respective home minister, unfortunately, the law and order falls under chief minister, and GAD, the general administration, is also falls under respective chief minister. And the DGP, unfortunately, 16 plus superintendent of police and IG level officers have been under DGP office. And in a clueless situation, which was separated as far as state is concerned with the 13 districts, and all the hierarchies have been in the GAD and as well as DGP office, and expecting law and order with wonders and miracles, quite impossible. That's what is exactly happening from the last 4.5 months as far as the Andhra Pradesh is concerned. In a clueless situation, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, is also expressed his difficulty coping up with the respective team as far as his cabinet and ministers are concerned since the floods. That time itself, he has addressed it categorically to the Nathan Manohar and other colleagues also. He expressed his difficulty that they are not coping up and they are not helping. And in yesterday's incident also, one of the ministers got a huge private class from Chandrababu Naidu stating that he's not expecting his limits and he's crossing his limits and is not working as per his expectations. In this scenario, this particular incident against women and children, which was happening more than 90 plus cases as far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned, the silence was made by Pawan Kalyan from last 4.5 months. All of a sudden, the accumulation and the pressure. In the recent past, also one of the incident, one of the women got protested in front of his car, stating that my daughter itself is a victim and I need justice. That time, he has smartly escaped from that situation. He's not even addressed. And yesterday, in the huge crowd, there are a lot of bombarding which has come. So suddenly he started and he showed his frustration, stated very clearly that as far as police authorities are concerned, they are not working. Intelligence is totally failure. The total accumulation is coming onto our head and we are really not in a position to give answers to the people around.
All right. Okay.
And in this particular scenario, instead of addressing the respective chief minister who is having law and order, he smartly taken a shortcut of addressing Anitha ma'am as if she is under the law and order is under her control. And unfortunately, she's just passing her things, going to respective victims and handing the checks and giving some condolences to the people. Other than that, she's not doing anything.
Yeah, so you say she's
and
not doing anything.
He has also forgotten that, ma'am. One more minute, if you don't mind. He has also forgotten that he don't have the discretion to take according to his whims and fancies as far as Home Ministry is concerned, which has been allocated by the respective Chief Minister. And even after, he has a different.
So that's why, so I get you. So you are saying it's inefficient government. You're saying he's just saying it, and also for impact, for effect. And you said that the Chandrababu Naidu has actually, seen to it that Anitha is the Home Minister. So maybe he's speaking out of turn. I'll take a break, Mr. Prasad. And when I come back, I'll speak to Satyanarayana Bolisetti, who's General Secretary of the Janasena Party. What is Pawan Kalyan aiming at? Does he want to be the Home Minister? Or is he just now frustrated that law and order isn't really working out in Andhra Pradesh? See you on the other side.
Cooking is an act of law. The first act of law we receive from our mothers in the families.
Modern Indian food is all about contemporary and innovative approach to traditional Indian cooking.
Representation it's also important,
I want to wear this white coat every day and then be a chef.
There are stories. If we name
or whiskey is Indri, then there is a whole story behind that. Cooking food is like a therapy, and eating one is like a pleasure I can give it to myself.
With Lounge Nights, I'm on a journey to celebrate and recognize the best food and nightlife establishments in various cities across India.
Radical presents Lounge Nights every Saturday and Sunday only on Newsline Live.
All right, that's what we are discussing. Pawan Kalyan raps Home Minister, that is Anitha, who's the Home Minister of Andhra Pradesh. Satyanarayana Bolisetti is with us, General Secretary of the Janasena Party. Mr. Bolisetti, do you think that, Pawan Kalyan is now plain and simple, because hearing his speech, there was frustration written all over his face and also angry words there. So he feels that both Tirupati and Kadapa and many other incidents, maybe the new dispensation of which your party is a major element, is not doing due diligence, sir.
Sudharananji, good evening, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Basically, he wants to empower the Home Minister. He wants her to be more aggressive. There are two ways of doing things, doing things in a systematic way slowly or aggressively overnight. So he wanted something like Yogi Adityanath as far as the crime against women and children are concerned. It should be like Yogi Adityanath. Our role model should be Yogi Adityanath. It should be very stern. And he told the Home Minister to be firm and dealt them with a very firm fist, with an iron fist. So actually after this, she had a meeting, a press conference, and also DGP had a press conference, and both of them said, never said anything against what Pawan Kalyan said. And what they said is, we are doing our best, and we have to equip ourselves a little more, because what's happening is, he also said one more thing. We have to discuss this in the assembly and bring the changes in the law if needed, because our law, the police cannot bypass the law and do certain things. So though they know he is the culprit, he did it, they want a proof, and proofs will not be available at that time. So the
crime, that's also something that he said very importantly. But Mr. Satyanarayana Bolisetti, my question to you is, there is something called coalition dharma. He always called Chandrababu Naidu his older brother, Annaya, Annagaru, whatever he calls him. I mean, basically, as someone who's an elder. Don't you think it is out of turn for him? I mean, why should I'm a woman. You don't empower me by scolding me in public. You empower me by giving me more powers, Satyagaru. How can you empower me by saying before everyone, hey, you do your work properly? That is not done. That is patriarchy, sir.
No. Actually, whatever you think, he said very clearly, people understood, and the concerned minister understood, and DGP understood. He wanted to tell the YCP people, goons who were actually trying to do certain mischiefs, and because they wanted, now Jagan Mohan Reddy also tweeted that, you are trying to suppress the voices against women and voices against this thing. See, it is actually, Anitha herself said, the Home Minister herself said, I am getting very nasty messages, and I can't even forward them to my subordinates to take action. Social media threats and the threats abusing on abusive language which they are using. So what Mr. Pawan Kalyan said is just to deal with them very firmly. Don't even think about anything else.
Okay, sir, I understand. Why is Babu quiet then? Why hasn't Babu spoken to Anitha?
Babu also said several times, not only once, with all the ministers. He is telling, I will not spare anyone who is going to indulge in sand or liquor or anything. Don't take anything seriously. Yeah. This government is different. Okay. This government is different. He said, I'm not like I'm like 1995 Chandrababu Naidu. Okay. He's also telling all the, see, basically, I would like to say one thing, Sudhaji, through media. See, actually, most of the officers who have been, in 5 years, they have been doing different things in a different way, whims and fancies. And suddenly you have to use the existing system. You have to, because 4 months is too short a period to give the jolts to all the people and put them in order. It's like Shashanji did during his time of election commissioner.
Yeah.
Like that, he wanted this lady to be very
Yeah,
firm.
but South is very different from Uttar Pradesh, sir. I live in I work in Uttar Pradesh. There is no comparison, and I hope you would have an example which is closer home. Let me get Mr. Prasad on the screen. Mr. Prasad, do you see this as the first breach in the alliance, as it were? Some people are reading it that way, that I will assert myself, I am a power star, I was also there, you won because of me, you were in prison, I was the one who went and campaigned, etc., etc., etc.
Yes, ma'am, you are 100% right, because it's a breach of trust. Being a cabinet minister, and he has simply blamed another cabinet colleague as if he is smart enough than Anitha ma'am. And quite unfortunately, if you really recollect, some couple of cabinet meetings were taken place. This is not at all a table subject as far as law and order concerned. They have not even bothered to discuss about particular incidences which were chronically happened since their swearing ceremony. And for your information, ma'am, his close cluster colleague, Mr. Nathan Manohar's constituency, recently one woman is being stabbed by Telugu Desam party worker, and she has miserably died. That time also he is not even bothered to give his condolences to the respective place. And in his own constituency, a girl which was murdered brutally and raped, he doesn't even bother to show his condolences. Today, the accumulation which was taken place on his head, he has smartly taken all sort of excuses by giving as if some sort of warnings to Anitha ma'am. It is instead of talking in a louder voice to the chief minister, he has taken smart excuses, like our fellow colleague Mr. Bolisetti has taken the excuses. He's saying all sort of narrations because they have a bombarding media. They are doing all sort of favors to Janasena and Telugu Desam in the Telugu media. That's why they're taking all sort of excuses. But if you really look into it, he has simply blamed Chandrababu Naidu because who is holding the law and order. It is a miserable failure from the last 4.5 months, and there is no control as far as law and order situations are concerned, for which he smartly blamed Anitha ma'am, and he has taken all sort of excuses. Being a cabinet colleague, how can he give a louder voice to her? That's what you uttered right before giving a choice, giving an opportunity to me. This was really taken place, and it is need to be condemned. And as far as cabinet colleagues, they need to give proper respect. And it is not a cinema that there are Telugu movies. The hero enters, becomes a home minister, and he enters into all portfolios and he acts smartly. These sort of things in practical lives and in democracy, which will not happen. That he needs to understand, and he needs to understand his own territories. He is really carrying a lot of frustration. Tirupati Laddu, it is boomeranged on his head, and he has taken Saraswati project's lands, that also boomeranged on his head. Being a Paryatak minister, forest minister has gone into the territories, and he has not found even a single thing. These accumulations which was taken place on his head, and he doesn't have any excuses. Now he has smartly, and every time he takes excuses. Last time, and Laddu comes, he has taken Sanatan Dharma. Today, Saraswati project comes, he's switching over his situation to Home Ministry.
Right, okay.
This is what the smart excuses he's taking. And he is in democracy, he is chosen by the people around, and he needs to work on his ground, and he needs to work on his territory.
Okay.
Focus more on his constituency.
Yes.
When certain things are taking place in the constituency, he doesn't even bother to give condolences to the people. Now he's taking all sort of excuses on Home Minister.
All right, Mr.
This
Prasad.
needs to be corrected. Today, DGP has given categorical answers.
Okay.
We are not law-abiding officers under the democracy of constituency, not for the people around.
All right.
And they are in illusion.
Okay, let me get Satya Garu. Yeah, also let me get Satya Garu. Satya Garu, much like you criticized the Disha app which the YSRCP regime had because it had failed, according to you, in giving security to the women of Andhra Pradesh. Why not do something proactive rather than publicly, berating a fellow colleague, a woman minister who's the home minister? Do something proactive. No, sir. If Pawan Kalyan is so worried that you please do your work, first of all, he's not the top cop. Secondly, he's not the home minister. So why should he be taking up the responsibility? He's seen as a man who saved women's honor in cinema. Let him say something which is more proactive. Would you agree, Satya Garu?
See, just now our YCP spokesperson said something. Well, basically,
Prasad, are you YCP spokesperson? Prasad?
This is another smart excuse what they'll take on me.
All right.
Okay. No, you look at these videos, you'll understand which party he belongs to. Finish. That's we will talk separately. Because I only consider him as YCP only. I don't consider him as anything else. He said forest minister. He said forest minister, environment and forest is also under Pawan Kalyan, number one. As far as Saraswati power is concerned. Saraswati power is completely messed up because 15 years back they took the land to build a cement plant. Nothing is built. And they're struggling, fighting brother and sister, fighting for that property, which actually belongs to the people, and some belongs to the forest, and some is assigned land. He went and gave all the clarification on the field with the details. With the details he is given. See, Sudhaji, I'll tell you one thing today. Whatever Pawan Kalyan said to ensure that safety of women is a serious concern for all of us. And I don't mind even my fellow colleague is little bit lethargy. I'm going to alert her to do her job. And she said very categorically, Pawan Kalyan Garu is given more boost and energy to her because she said that I am getting lots of messages from YCP people, YCP social media, and I am unable to forward them for action to my colleagues because it's so abusive language. I don't know what to do. That's what she said, being a home minister. So he wanted, also Mr. Pawan Kalyan said, we are going to bring some new laws to deal with these people. See, he's not said that just only because he knows that her hands are getting little tied and even DGP hands are little tied. So we should do something in the assembly. And this time we are going to bring some change in laws because we have to take certain action against these people.
Understand, Satyagaru, you bring change in laws, but proactively, if women's and this is a child in Tirupati and Kadapa, both shameful. Our heads will hang in shame. We thought there is a new dispensation, sir, that things you cannot stop crime from happening. I also accept it. I've spoken to many chief ministers, to top cops. How can you? But the thing is, there has to be a fear of the law, which needs to be put in these people. Young man raping a child.
Sudhaji, precisely that's what Mr. Pawan Kalyan said. People should fear. And why this is
but
not
why
happening?
Tell Anitha Garu? I don't understand.
Anitha Garu to be firm. That's all. He's not said anything different. He said to be firm. If I'm in your position, I'll be very strong. That's all. He's not abused her. Misinterpretation of
Satyagaru is not said he abused her. But scolding is something. No, it doesn't, because Pawanji is a very, very polite man. I'm surprised. That's what I'm asking you. He's a polite guy. What happened? Is it frustration?
He is polite. He wanted her. You have not seen the whole meeting. You're only reading one sentence and putting a debate on that. The whole thing is things are going wrong everywhere. So certain things we need to form. People have given us power.
You just now said things are going wrong everywhere. So you're accepting things are not right.
Yeah, most of the things are saying. Whatever you do in 4 months, Sudhaji, you can't accept everything right. In 4 months, land grabbing is still going on because of the old officers.
Right.
In 4 months, 300 violations are going on. In 4 months, the same YCP goons are there. They are doing their best. So we are trying to. What we wanted is we want to put with a firm face. I'm telling you very soon. Why Jagan Mohan Reddy started crying? You tell me. Why Jagan Mohan Reddy sent a tweet? Our voices are going to be suppressed. Do you think that Jagan Mohan Reddy is such a baby?
No one said that. No. I'm only bothered about your government, and because you're in power. Mr. Prasad, let me have you on the screen, Mr. Prasad. First of all, I want to ask you that, don't you think a proactive approach would be much better? I'm a journalist and so are you. We tend to read things, and I just thought Pawan Kalyan, I like him as a star. I've always said it. I like him in his cinema. What to do? I like him. So I'm saying that he's been polite. Suddenly, when I see his shruti, like we say, going up in a crescendo, this is where I thought that even they are accepting, just now Satyagaru said things are not turning out to be right. So I think it's the first red flag in the alliance, which will have to improve going forward. Would you accept it?
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am. For your information, I want to give a small note. As far as IPC is still not allowed, as far as 31st July 2024 is concerned, and after that, this BNS has come into the act. The acts have been amended, even after law and order not having control. That's what the major apprehension is. And now he has smartly said that there is no control as far as 4.5 months governance is concerned. That is also, the gentleman Bolisetti has admitted that. It doesn't mean that law and order is under the shade of Chief Minister. Even the shade is not falling on the entire AP. That's what the major concern is. When shade is not falling on the entire AP state, these sort of ruckus are already taking place. Ma'am, you are a senior most journalist. You know pretty well about Chandrababu Naidu. For his last 14.5 years of his legacy, what sort of law and order situations were there in Andhra Pradesh? Today, in the 4.5 months, today he himself is admitting in Delhi also, we came very recently. We doesn't know how to adapt things and all. We don't have any control on the system and all. These sort of excuses which were delivered by Chief Minister, surprisingly, it's quite surprisingly. And apart from all that, he doesn't have any control as far as cabinet is concerned. In the flood situation, he has talked in a different manner with Narendra Manohar sir. Today, the voices of Pawan Kalyan and as well as Anitha ma'am are concerned, which were blowing out of the boxes. Today, there is no hold, there is no control as far as cabinet is concerned. And these particular agenda points are not even bothered to discuss in cabinet meetings. Today, these people are taking all sort of excuses. It's a smart baby which was born 4.5 months back.
Yeah, I have completely run out of time. My apologies. I have to go to Rahul Gandhi, who's in Telangana, another Telugu-speaking state. Thank you very much, Mr. Prasad and Satyanarayana Bolisetti, for joining us on this debate. We shall keep this going, I promise you, and we shall see that different angles of this is focused at. Our next big story, Rahul Gandhi, LOP, is in Telangana to attend a crucial meeting on caste census in the state. That's coming up. All right, that's the story. Rahul Gandhi in Telangana. Caste census is on the agenda. He is to attend a very important meeting organized by the party state unit related to the caste survey initiated by the state government. During the meeting, Rahul shall be holding extensive consultations with several stakeholders, including party functionaries, intellectuals, student unions, and also caste-based organizations in Hyderabad. According to party sources, Rahul Gandhi will be delivering a talk on the significance of holding a caste census during the meeting, which is to be attended by all the Congress MLAs and MPs from the state. The Revanth Reddy-led government in Telangana initiated the caste census in fulfillment of a promise made by Rahul Gandhi during the election campaign in the state. Within 10 months of taking office, the Revanth Reddy government established a process to conduct caste census in the state. The entire caste survey process has been given a deadline of 3 weeks and is expected to be completed by the end of this month, which is November. And as promised, I leave you with some of the other top headlines from the south of India. Thank you so much for watching. Namaskara.